Hey, welcome back to the Black and Gold Standard Podcast. And today we're going to go and talk about our mock draft 4.0. So this is our first mock draft um post the combine. So we're going to kind of see if it changes anything or do some guys drop or do some guys well, I know some guys definitely um help their cause. Not too many guys that I can kind of recall that really hurt themselves, but I'm quite sure it was probably is a couple guys that did. But my thing with the combine now, um, it's just I mean before everybody was doing everything. I mean you would get a couple of guys that maybe didn't do the 40 or do the weightlifting or whatever, but for the most part everybody did everything. But now it's just a situation where it's just more everybody's just doing what they're good at. I mean, and I get it. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if I'm not good at the three cone, but I know I'm gonna run a crazy 40, well, guess what? That's I'm gonna run the 40 and I'm not gonna do the three cone. So I don't blame the athletes. You know, you do what you're good at. But what's up, Reginald Rivers? Where's Barlett, Tennessee at? Now I've been to Knoxville. I've been to Knoxville plenty of times. So how far is that from Knoxville? So yeah, like I said, I don't blame those guys. But it just seemed like guys are not participating in all the drills. Like they're doing their on field stuff. But anyway, um it was man, some guys had some crazy times in the 40. They say this is like the fastest combine ever. But then again, was it really the fastest combine ever? I just think you just got all the fast guys that ran. And obviously if you're slow, you're not gonna run. Like Carnell Tate. He shouldn't have ran the 40, man. You should have wait till you got to Ohio State and at his pro day and ran the 40 because allegedly Ohio State got that 39-yard 40, but we'll talk about that another day. But anyway, yeah, Tate probably shouldn't have ran the 40. Either if he wasn't prepared, needed a little bit more training, because that was a fast track. So it wasn't that the track was not fast. I mean, he may just not be fast, but he got a pro day. He got a pro day coming up, and I'm quite sure um when he run his pro day, he'll get that time down. He'll get that time down. But other than that, I mean, I thought the combine, it's I, you know, I like it. Anything football, because this is kind of like the down period. But now things gonna start heating up. You got free agency start. Well, actually, the tampering period, which they say they legalized it, but they're saying it's not legal. Legal tampering. I don't know. But anyway, that starts on Monday. Then I think actually guys can sign their contract on Wednesday. So basically Wednesday is when everything is opened up. The new league year starts. All the trades that have been made can be official. I'm quite sure it'll be more trades. Um, you know how free agency go. It'll be a frenzy for maybe the first 48 hours or so. Then it'll kind of slow down a little bit, and then it'll almost go dead. But to me, I think one of the things that's going to be very interesting is not well, it's still part of free agency, but the guys that's going to get released. I think the guys that's going to get released is actually going to turn out to be better than the free agency. The guys that's free agents, because there's some big names. There's some big name guys that's rumored to get released. A couple of guys that already got released. And the good thing about them guys, you could sign them now. Like The Steelers could go. I mean, just saying, but they could go and sign Tyreek Hill right now. Um, so those type guys you can sign right away that's been cut. You don't even have to wait until the new league year. So with that said, let's talk about our draft. So this is going to be mock draft 4.0. And let's see here. Let's get to it. Yeah, so this is again, you know me. I think out the box. I think I'm not even gonna really even say I really think out the box. I just try to be more realistic. It's easy to, like my man G will make 100 trades and had 20 picks and all that. The Steelers not gonna do that. The Steelers not gonna do that. It would be nice. It'd be nice, but it ain't fantasy football. So I try to kind of keep it more realistic and make moves that I mean I'm a fan too, and I be looking at some of the moves sometimes. I be like, what they thinking? Like, why they do that? Or we go after this guy, but you got to be more realistic with stuff. And with the draft, the Steelers have 12 picks, and I think even with my draft, I got it down to maybe 8 or 9 or something like that. So I made some deals to get rid of some picks because the Steelers not gonna make all those picks. They're not gonna bring it. You don't even have room on. Well, I won't say you have room on your roster, but to bring in 12 guys, you almost will be doing what the Cleveland Browns did. And the Cleveland Browns basically just reset, played all these young guys, fill their roster up with a lot of young guys, and you see what it got them. It got them with 3 wins, 4 wins. So if you go on that route, yeah, you could bring in 12 rookies and just put them on the roster and play a lot of those guys and just ride it out. But the one thing I would say, Steeler fans, we have to take this into account because our owner sat there. He sat there and he told us. He told us all. He told the world the Pittsburgh Steelers are not tanking. That's not in their DNA. They're not going to tank ever. So right there, that's letting all these people saying Will Howard, he's not going to play, folks. He's not going to play because you play Will Howard, more than likely you're tanking on the season. And that's just look, every man has an ego. Mike Tomlin has one. Art Rooney has one. So yeah, Tomlin was the coach, and that kind of goes on his record as not having a losing season. But you best to believe Art Rooney is behind the scenes. Well, I ain't gonna say behind the scenes, but in his mind, he's taking a little credit for that too. He's taking a little credit for that record too, and that record means something to him as far as he go being the owner of the Steelers. So you gotta understand that the Steelers are, like I said, the man stood up in front of everybody and let you know we're not tanking. If we ever have a bad, I mean, I don't know his words directly, but he basically said if the Steelers ever have a bad season, it's just going to be a situation where they just didn't have the horses, and they're not doing that. They always gonna have a decent roster. Now, is it the best roster in the NFL? No. I mean, everybody knows that, but it's not a roster that you're going to win 2-3 games. And they're going to do whatever they have to do to not tank and not, so even, everybody say, well, we get our quarterback next year. No, that's not a guarantee because if the Steelers can, if they can, and they have an opportunity, look, I look at this. They won 10 games with a I don't know what you call that offense. Um, I don't I don't know. To me, a terrible offensive coordinator, a poorly coached defense, and they still won 10 games. Now, I believe, I think from a defensive standpoint, you're going to be better. Definitely going to be better from an offensive standpoint. I think you're going to finally get some receivers in the receivers room, and they're bringing Aaron Rodgers back. And, with that said, if the Steelers can, they're gonna win. They automatically gonna win 9 games, 10 games. But if they can, they're gonna try to win 14. So you ain't gonna be in striking distance of getting one of those quarterbacks next year, because the Steelers gonna be, again, they're gonna be at worst, they're gonna be like right where they're at now, around 21, 22, 23, 24, somewhere around in there. That's where they're gonna draft at. And that's gonna be very hard to have the 24th pick and to get all the way up to the top 5. So we ain't gonna get one of these top rated quarterbacks. So they got a whole nother plan, and we'll talk about that a little later. But right now, let's get into our draft. So I've always said I believe the Steelers are going to sign a starting wide receiver. I think they're going to sign a starting left guard, and I think they're probably going to sign a starting free safety out of free agency. I think this is something that they're going to get in free agency. I think those 3 positions are going to really be targeted heavy. I mean, definitely the receiver part, but I think they're going to target those positions. And honestly, now, because of the situation with Broderick Jones, I think they're going to target a left tackle in free agency. I think they're not gonna play around. They're gonna spend some money. They're gonna spend some money big time, because one of the things you have to do. I really don't want to go into this, but bringing Aaron Rodgers back, and he will be back. Um, you got to take the same philosophy that Tampa Bay had with Tom Brady. Granted, yeah, is Aaron Rodgers the athlete that he was 10 years ago? No. So when you go down that road and have a quarterback like that, you got to put a steel wall around him. You got to put a good offensive line around him. You can't have the turnstile Broderick Jones at left tackle, so he's always looking behind his back. So it's just, it's things you have to do when you definitely have an older quarterback, because no quarterback wants to be hit. Nobody want to be hit, but when you're 43, I think you definitely don't want to get hit. So with that said, let's get right into it. So with the Steelers' first pick, I think they're gonna take Vega Ole. Um, so you just said that they're gonna sign a starting left guard, in which I think they will. But I think what you do with this pick is you let him and Mason McCormick battle it out. Now, obviously, if Vega just turned out to be better than even the free agent they signed, then they can make some moves as far as, do we move him to the left side, whatever his best side is. He can play both sides, but I'm quite sure one of the sides is probably he's more comfortable than the other side. So if he has a chance, if he beats both of them out, then they can say, hey, we'll move him to left guard and move the other guy over to right guard. But I think right now you bring him in as your number 1 pick, and you let him, and actually you hope that he comes in and he beats Mason McCormick out. He beats him out, and then there you go. That'll settle your line. And because so I know people will say, well, McCormick didn't play bad. No, he hasn't. But every year on the offensive line, you got to keep bringing bodies in because you can't pay all these guys. So McCormick contract is up next year, I believe. So he's a guy you probably going to lose him anyway because you got Frazier, you still got to pay. Uh, so you just got to keep bringing in bodies every year. You got to keep bringing in bodies, and until you get some of these guys on a second contract, you got to figure you got 4 years. You got 4 years of work out of these guys. I mean, now obviously in his case, you would have 5 because you had it, the 5th-year option. But most of your linemen, some of your linemen, they're gonna be second round, third round picks. So you're gonna have 4 years, and you got to figure it out. So I think this will be a great pick for the Steelers. 6'4", 320 pounds, very physical. Um, he's a me personally. I don't see him getting past Baltimore at 14, but you never know. You never know. It's just the draft is funny. The draft is so funny, and we see it every year. We see it every year that everybody gets so high on this guy, and then next thing you know, the dude goes in the second round, and everybody had him. Oh, he's going in the middle of the first. And then it'd be a guy that you say, oh, he's a second round pick, and he goes somewhere in the first round. It's just it's a crapshoot, and that's why I say the Steelers will have to sign a guard because you're just not sure. Now, granted, you don't go, and the guy that I think they may sign, it's a guy that not going to cost them a lot. It'll be a decent contract, but it's a contract they can get out of. But you can't say, well, we need a guard or left guard, and we're not going to address that in free agency because we're going to take our chances in the draft for getting a guy. You can't. That's not good business because the draft is funny, and it could be a run on these guys, and next thing you know, the guy that you want is gone. Now you reaching for somebody. So let's move on to the second round. Second round, I'm sticking with Branch, wide receiver, 5'10", 180 pounds. He ran a 4.3 at the combine. I believe he's a second round pick. I don't see him going later than that because the one thing that this guy can do for the Steelers, he's going to be the slot. He's going to be the slot receiver. So basically, in a way, he kind of taking Calvin Austin's spot. You're getting a guy that's just pretty much just as fast. I think Austin may be a little faster than him because I think Austin ran a 4.2. But Austin's 160 pounds, 167 pounds. But he's tough. He's a tough kid. Me personally, I wouldn't mind having Austin back, but we have to see what type of contract he gets. But he's a tough kid, but physically he just can't hold up. And also he's a little guy. He's a real little guy. So with Branch, he's gonna be a slot receiver. This is your bubble guy. This is your guy. If they ever, I know McCartney don't run a lot of motion, but if they put motion into the game, you got your jet guy. He can work the middle of the field. He's a tough guy, and like I say, he's fast. He's 4.3, so he's gonna be a guy that he's one of those guys. He gets gone quickly. He's gone. And he's also going to give you something that the Pittsburgh Steelers haven't had in. I'm about to date myself, and some of you young Yenzies won't even remember this name. The Steelers, I mean, other than Rod Woodson, which y'all should know Rod Woodson. Rod Woodson used to run kicks back. But then after he became Rod Woodson, they kind of took him away. But the Steelers used to have now you talking about hands of stone, and it's great. his name was Dwight Stone, and his hands were stone. I mean, I actually think his hands were made of stone, but this dude probably was like a 4'1". I mean, this guy could fly. And the Steelers really haven't had a kick returner since him. I don't know how the heck he was catching kicks with them hands, but couldn't catch a pass. But he was fast. So Branch would actually give the Steelers something that they haven't had in years, and that's actually a kick returner. So I think he fits. I think he'll fit the offense. Again, my prediction is the Steelers sign Romeo Doubs, so he'll be your number 2. Another great route runner, a guy that can run all the routes. So he'll open things up. You got DK as your home run hitter guy, and then you'll have Branch. Branch is that guy. You just give him a little short pass, make a couple guys miss, and he's off to the races. So I think this will be a good second round pick for the Steelers. Moving on. Third round, I think we go with Malik Muhammad, corner, 6 foot, 188 pounds, out of the University of Texas. This is a guy that I believe that could come in and will be a great number 2 with the Steelers. Team him up with Porter. It's giving you another corner with size out on the outside. Just depending on what they decide, because to me the Steelers are not bringing Pierre back, so it's more of a question if you bring Asante Samuels back, and if that's the case, maybe Samuel, he might start off starting, but I think at some point Malik Muhammad probably take over, because Samuels, he's a little guy too. I think he's like 5'11", one something. I don't know, but I'm quite sure they want to get a more physical corner, and this would be a guy that would definitely fit that. All right, here we go. Third round, and actually we got a extra third round pick because I made some trades and picked up an extra third round pick. So we got 4 third round picks. This is where I think the Steelers are going to do their work in the draft. It's going to be right here in this third round. Dante Corione, the Godfather, they call him. So he defensive tackle, 6'1", 320 pounds, out of University of Cincinnati. This is one thing you got to understand, in which it was just, I think it was more of a philosophy thing. To run the 3-4 defense, and for the 3-4 defense to work, you got to have a nose tackle, a dominant nose tackle. This got to be a guy. I mean, go back, think of again, Joe Steve. That's probably a little bit too far for most of y'all, but Casey Hampton, big snack. These got to be guys that going to get probably about 25 to 30 snaps a game, if that many. Honestly, you might look at the stat sheet and be like, man, this dude got all these snaps and he ain't even made a tackle or anything. But that's their job. Their job is honestly their job. Now, obviously, if the running back come your way, hey, grab him, the center, and the running back and make the tackle. But that ain't really their job. Their job is basically to be a pinball. It's a tough position to play. Kind of seems like you're not. I mean, how can I say it? It's just a tough position to play, and you got to understand. You got to have a guy to understand it. You're really not there to get stats. You're not there to really get sacks or anything like that. Sometimes, hey, if you blow a guy up, you might get a sack here and there, but that ain't really their job. Like I said, their job is to take on that double team with the center and guard and not get blown back like the Steelers were getting blown back with Black and Benton getting blown. I mean, if you watch the film, them guys getting blown back, and then everybody want to get on Patrick Queen. But Patrick Queen, for one thing, he ain't a big guy, but he can't do anything when he has his defensive tackle or offensive guard sitting in his lap. So he's trying to avoid all that, and by that time he's out of position, running back gone. So you need a guy that can hold that up, take on those double teams, stay stout, don't get blown back, and let those linebackers have room to work. And so, like I say, this might be a situation where you'll look at the stats and he don't have nothing. But you like, I know he played, but that ain't his job. And a lot of times guys try to do too much because they think they need to make this tackle, and that's not what they're here for. And that's the only way the 3-4 defense works. If you don't have that, it blows the whole defense up. So he's actually very, very important to the defense. So I just think the Steelers will rectify that. And I think Corey Long is a guy that could definitely get that job done. So I took him in the third round. All right, let's keep moving here. Quarterback, Drew Aller, third round, out of Penn State University, 6'5", 235 pounds. This is a guy. Now, this is my belief. What I think the Steelers want to do. I think what they really want to do. Me personally, I believe if you draft this kid, they're gonna do a quick evaluation with him because I'm quite sure they probably can bring Will Howard to the rookie minicamp. I know certain players that play can come to the rookie minicamp, so I'm quite sure he got to be eligible because he didn't play, and so I'm quite sure Howard is definitely eligible. So evaluation gonna start right there. So you would think Howard should be a little ahead because he this is second year, so he know the pro game. Now, granted, this will be a new offense for both of them, but Howard just he gonna understand how to practice as a pro. So he'll be a little ahead of him, but he better. I'm telling you, Howard better show something, and he better show a lot because Mike McCaffrey is this is what he's here for. This is what he's here for. He ain't here. I mean, he obviously here to win games, but he's here to develop a quarterback. So you already took this guy in the third round. Howard was a 6th round pick. So you already know right there, they're gonna put more into him. He's a bigger investment. And I believe what they probably really, really want to do until he's ready, they probably want to sit him at the third quarterback. They probably would I'm believing they would keep Rudolph. The easy thing would keep Howard, let Howard be number 2, but I don't think they're gonna do that because I think Aller would be McCartney's guy. He'll be his man, and he's gonna put him in his quarterback school, and it'll be much easier to do that if he's the third guy. Because I don't know if a lot of you guys paid attention. The Steelers did something with their coaching staff that almost, I'm quite sure it may be another team in the league that did this, but probably not too many. The Steelers have 2 quarterback coaches. They have 2 quarterback coaches. I know I forget the guy's name, but he's a quarterback coach and he's a game day assistant or something. So he's basically going to be. I think he's going to be the guy that's going to be next to McCarthy as far as because he's into his playbook. He's into that big old Denny um, play sheet that he got. But he's going to be the one that's in his ear, I think, during game day. Hey, we need to review this. We need, throw the red flag, or you got these many timeouts. Because I think he's going to be so wrapped up in calling plays. Because to be a good play caller, you got to be like 2 plays ahead. So this is going to be his game day duties. But through the week, he's going to be working with the young quarterback. And I truly believe to keep everything good and to give this kid every opportunity and don't have to listen to the media saying this or even the Yinzers saying this and that, Howard could be gone. Howard could get cut, or he could get traded. I don't know what type of trade value he would have, but he may be gone. Because if you keep both of them, it's hard. You can't develop 2 guys, especially if one of them is going to be number 2. So he's really going to have to be with the offense, and he's going to be running the scout team. So it's just going to be hard. I mean, I watched the Cleveland Clowns try to basically develop 2 rookie quarterbacks. It's just hard. So you got one guy you're working with. You got the other guy. He's on the field by himself playing catch with the ball boy. That ain't going to work. But Aller, he's going to have his own personal coach that's going to work him. And if you want to know about the Mike McCarthy quarterback school, just pull it up on Google. And Aaron Rodgers went through it. Brett Favre went through it. This is what he do. Dak Prescott went through it. This is what he do with his quarterbacks. So this is what he's here for. He's here to find the next quarterback and develop him. And you're not going to be able to do it if you got these distractions of Howard this, Howard that. So Howard, all I can say is I'm quite sure he's going to be able to come to that rookie mini camp, and he better show his butt. Because if he don't, he's going to have a short ride here in Pittsburgh, I believe. All right, so moving right along here. All right, so our first 4th round pick, Skylar Bell, wide receiver, 6 foot, 192 pounds, out of UConn. This is going to be another guy that he's going to come in and he's probably going to back up DK and back up Dobbs. So he's definitely going to have to learn both positions. He went to UConn, so he should be a bright enough player to do that. So he's going to have to learn both positions. And, he'll get a little tick. He'll get a little tick to, to give both of those guys a breather. And he'll play. He'll play. He ran a 4.4 at the combine. Good size, good hands. So he'll definitely come in and play. So that right there, that gives you a receiving room of Metcalf, Romeo Dobbs, Branch, Bell, and he's Big Ben Steronik, which don't call him a receiver. He want to be known as a football player. So I think he's definitely he's gonna stay with the team because he's a good special teams guy. So that gives you maybe room for one more guy. Who could that be? I don't know. I don't know if it'd be another rookie. I'm thinking it'd probably be another low priced veteran type guy, maybe. Because you already had 2 rookies. So that's really enough. Because again, you can't put all these rookies on the team because I get it. Yeah, they're cheaper, but you just asking for trouble because this is something, and I know It's high school, but this is something an old school coach told me, and he never lied about this. And I think this works for every level of football. He told me for every freshman and sophomore that you start on varsity, that's how many losses you definitely gonna have. So if you starting the two freshmen and two sophomores, count on at least having 3 losses. Because those guys at some point he's gonna become a freshman. At some point he's gonna become a sophomore, and he's gonna go up against a guy that just at the point he's just not physically able to handle, and that one play may cost you a game. So you can't again if you're a team that's just saying, hey, we gonna sit this year out basically, and we're gonna let all these young guys play. Yeah, you can do that. You could do that, but that ain't the Steelers. The Steelers are not. They're not in business for that. They ain't trying to hear that. They ain't trying to do that. So to say that they're gonna have all these rookies out here, I don't believe it. Moving right ahead. So another safety, which I think the Steelers will sign a free safety. Um, Bishop Fitzgerald, more of a development guy, to be honest, but he's a guy that can stick. The only thing I really don't like the size. I wish he was a little bigger, 5'11", 201 pounds, but he's a great tackler. He's a great tackler. He'll come up. You could actually, he just, he come up, run support. When he hits a guy, he's down. But he got a lot of developing to do. Definitely he'll come in and probably start off, definitely on special teams. But he's a guy he'll be a guy they have to work with, but he can develop into something. And you just never know. You never know what you can get here. And my next pick, and believe it or not, my last pick, I got the Steelers being done. I got them being done in the fourth round of this draft. I mean, maybe they may go one more round, fifth round. Because, like I say, they got all these picks, and we were able to pick up. We were able to make a trade, get another fourth round pick, and get an extra third round pick. So again, I just think the Steelers is not going to make all these picks. That's a lot of guys. That's a lot of guys. So give or take, maybe they'll keep a fifth and get rid of some six, but they're not going to make all these picks. And a lot of these picks I was able to package and um, move them to next year. So by moving those picks to next year, that'll give you some ammunition if you decide that you got to try to move up or whatever. Because next year is going to be not just quarterbacks; it's going to be some good players coming out next year also. So you just never know. So it's always good to have that draft capital. Um, you know. So with that said, Isaiah World, offensive tackle out of Oregon, 6'8", 318 pounds. Just a guy that I'm not gonna say what this picture looks like. But he seemed like he might be a mean dude. But big guy. Like I say, the offensive line, you got to just keep adding bodies every year. Every year, you got to just keep adding bodies, and this is how you're gonna get your depth. This is a guy probably moving the right tackle, or he could play left tackle. I think he's more of a right tackle, but he's just a guy that is gonna fill in and give you some quality backups. Get some quality backups in because you never know, with injuries and all that type stuff. So it's always a good thing to have some good quality backups. And I think that's what he would provide. And then down the road, you'll see what you have. Again, this is an asset for you. If he gets to a point that you just say, hey man, this guy is ready to play, but we don't have a position for him, then you got to trade an asset there. So so maybe you could turn that fourth round pick that you use on them to a second round pick. You just never know. So it's always good to just add bodies to your offensive line. And that's actually my draft. That's it. Like I say, we was able to make some picks and make some trades and get some extra picks and get rid of some picks and move them to next year. So with that said, you guys take care. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I will talk to you later. All right. Bye-bye.